spending a little more than an hour with you, trying to talk about what we experience in the construction industry, why estimating is becoming vitally more important than it has always been. And we're also going to show you how we work this software. Before we move on, I want to get to know you a bit better, and I want you to learn a bit about me, and there's a reason for that. Because for me, it all started here. And I should maybe say that you can probably hear from my dialect, I'm not from Kansas City, I'm from Denmark, in Scandinavia. And I grew up there, and when I was 13 years old, I just needed to have one of those. I don't know if you all had one of those or not. It's the most sold computer ever in the world, the Commodore 64. And I just love that stuff. I worked very hard to save up money for that, and I didn't really know why. That's the funny thing. I just needed one of those. And when I got it, I started doing programming, and I didn't want to play the games and stuff like that. I just wanted to develop stuff. It was fun to develop a database, to keep track of movies recorded on VCR and stuff like that. And so I always just loved to work with computers and electronics. I went to university and became an electric engineer, which I thought I was going to use for the rest of my life. I had a job for 4 years as a microchip developer, and I thought I would be working in an engineering company in the development department for the rest of my career. So, standing today in Kansas talking about estimating in the construction industry, well, obviously something happened in those plans. And the thing is that when I was at university, one of my friends, he came to me and he said, Magnus, we're going to build an application to help estimators with doing construction estimating. And I said, why do we need to do that? And he said, well, my dad's a CEO of a general contractor, and he told me, son, you're going to help me figure out how to do this smarter, better, more accurate, save time, all the things we want to do as estimators. So we started spending time with that. Obviously, we didn't know much about it, so that's only one way to build a good product. That's to talk to the people who's going to use it. So we sat down with the estimators, many meetings, trying to really understand and grasp what is estimating all about. How can you solve this? How can you create a good workflow? What things do you need? So we developed Sigma, and that was really fun. We were quite inspired by it, but that was in 1997. And in those days, the Microsoft Office package, Word and Excel and stuff like that, was becoming really popular. So we wanted to build an application like that, and to look and feel like those systems. Anyway, some years later, we founded the company Sigma Estimates, and for the last 15 years, I've worked with estimators in all kinds of companies, subcontractors, general contractors, even architects and engineering companies in Scandinavia and now in North America as well. So this is really exciting. The stuff I love to do is to develop solutions that really help something. And it's obvious that there's a lot of great stuff going on in the industry right now. There's a revolution or disruption or whatever we would like to call it, but things are changing. We're all becoming more digital, and just today at some of the sessions I've seen great stuff with technology, so I like to push that stuff forward, and I like to do it together with you and get all the feedback and input that we need to create good solutions. Anyway, that was just a bit about me, so if I should learn just a bit about you, could you raise your hands to these questions just for me to have a feeling about this? So how many of you started in construction? That's most of you, yeah. Anyone who went straight into estimating? Okay. Who has a trade background? Okay. And what about formal, like an educational approach to estimating? I know in the UK they have a university education for that, but I think for North America and Scandinavia there's no real education in estimating. So anyway, anyone who started their own construction business? Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, two more questions. questions.
Yeah.
How many GCs? Who's a GC? Subcontractor.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Bill. And by the way, that's Bill. Yeah. And Bill is my good friend because Bill has been an estimator for 30 years in so many companies, worked with so many software, and now he's helping Sigma estimates in North America, and we're learning a lot. And the reason is that we really want to be dedicated on this and work with estimators. So we're not trying to figure out what you can do with technology, but we're trying to figure out how we can help estimators where they are right now. So going forward, I think this is the key message today, that the estimators, we see them, they really hold the key to the future in some of this. Before I can explain that, I want to tell you what I see as the challenges in the industry. There are so many studies that show on the construction side, if you measure the time people spend on the construction side, this is the result. So value creating productive work, like laying a brick, inserting a window, things that really create value, is down to 1/3 of the time. The rest is waiting for someone, taking materials from one side of the construction site to the other, things that are not creating anything. And honestly, it will always be like that. The only thing we want to do is that we want to change a bit on the percentages here. So we want to have a little more time spent on productive stuff, right? It is a surprise to see this, but it's repeated studies, so I guess it's true. Another thing is that once we start a construction project, one thing we know is that the ability to make changes will become more and more difficult, and the cost of changing something in the project will become more and more expensive. And again, honestly, there will always be changes in construction, right? We cannot figure out from the beginning everything perfectly. So there will be changes, and it probably looks a bit like this, not so much in the beginning, then we start to realize all the stuff that we need to change and adapt to, and then in the end there's nothing much we can change. But what we want to do is to move those decisions to earlier. So everyone is trying to figure out how to do that. If we can do that, I mean, the companies you work in, the margins are not like Apple or Microsoft or Google. It's tough to run the business, and if we can just move a few of these percentages to profits, that would be really great, right? So everyone is struggling to do this and have been for many years. But this is the reality. It's really complex. Construction is complex, and estimating is really complex because you can have a nice 3D model, you can have a lot of data, but this is what goes on, right? How do you manage this, and how do you move on? So I want to tell you a story about one of our clients. They are also from Denmark, but they are quite huge general contractor working internationally. And when our company was only 2 years old, we got hold of that guy, and he was on a construction site. At those days, he was heading the estimating department in the company. Now he's the CEO, by the way. That's interesting. He was nice and said he would like to meet us and hear what we do. And we did that. They showed us their spreadsheets. They were really cool spreadsheets, by the way. I was like impressed. Spreadsheets can be organized. They even had a written manual. So I was like, wow, they're not going to buy our software. But in the end of their presentation of their product, they said, so we realized we come to the end of where we can go with the spreadsheets. It's too complex. We experienced too many formula errors and all that stuff. And we had a chance to introduce Sigma, and they liked it and they started using it. So the interesting thing about the story is that we were a young company, and we were really thrilled about this, and we gave them a really good deal also, a good discount. They had 50 estimators, and they had 50 other people that were in supportive functions for these estimators, so around 100 licenses. And we said to them, we'll give you a good discount, and we'll give you some flexibility in how you use the software. So if you can use 120, that's no problem. That's good. Over the next couple of years, we developed a lot of features in Sigma because they were general contractor. They had some other needs and requirements that we already had in the software. So that was great. And then after a couple of years, we had a sales guy in the company, a new sales guy, and he looked at this one and he said, oh, you gave them a flexible agreement, so how many active users do they have now? I don't know, 100, I guess. And we looked into our systems, and we could see that they have more than 400 people using Sigma software in the company. So obviously we had to have a new meeting with them, talking about the license structure and that flexibility. But what I was really curious about was why they had so many people using Sigma. I mean, they couldn't have like 400 estimators, right? And they said the site managers and the project managers working on the construction site, they had figured out that they could open these estimating documents and they could get so much information from them. Activities, durations, bill of materials, you know, all that great stuff that needs to be in an estimate to be just a little accurate on that. And now they have more than 700 people actively using the software in the company. It's kind of, they say it's kind of a common language for us to use the estimating platform. It's really interesting. They also pull in the site managers when they do bidding because they want people from the field to kind of validate. Has a lot of advantages. So really interesting story. And I think that's where it begins to be interesting to talk about how we can overcome some of these challenges. I would say the company here has grown a lot. They're very profitable. They're doing very well. And again, the guy who was head of the estimating department is now the CEO. So that's great. So the problem is that we have our design, 2D, 3D, descriptions, whatever. We know what to build. But often-wise, when we start the construction, there's a lot of figuring out how to build it at the site. So people have been doing estimating, figuring out a lot of stuff, but that really doesn't get into the project. So what we want to do is to make sure that estimating is part of this process. We want to include estimators in the process from taking the design, bringing it easy into an estimating platform, and making sure that all those great data is not just boiled down to a single number, but taking into planning systems, to whatever systems can support anything in the construction. So, you are the key to that. I mean, estimators, have you heard the term VDC, virtual design and construction? I think that's what estimators do in the head, been doing for as long as we've been doing estimating. Because to estimate a construction project, that's what goes on. You need to figure out how we're going to do this, what happens then, what about the cranes coming in, you know, all that stuff. You kind of simulate that. You put it into the estimate. So you have all the knowledge there, and we just need to bring it out. One of the things we tried last year was to create a small application that could run on an iPad, whatever, tablet, where you can see a 3D model of the construction, and you can point to something like a window or a door, and you can start to get your estimating information right there in the field. To me, that was kind of, you know, we have something called Sigma Labs where we try out new stuff, and sometimes, you know, people like it, sometimes they say that doesn't create any value. But this was interesting. Everyone immediately saw the opportunity here to start putting more data into the estimating, because now it could help someone else later on in the process. So that's just a good example of things we're working with. So Excel is the widely used software everywhere in Europe, in Asia, in America, and I think there are good reasons for that. I love Excel. I use it every day, and it's very flexible. It can easily do stuff. It can print out. It can, be very helpful. And I think flexible is really important because estimating is there's not like one way to do that. There's a lot of history in each of the companies you have, where you used to do this, who did what kind of reporting, which numbers, which key figures. So there needs to be flexibility. That's great. It runs on your desktop. You can count on it. You can save it in a file. You know, easy peasy, right? The challenge with Excel is that it's not ready for the new BIM world. So bringing data, validating it. I mean, how can Excel validate if anything is right or wrong? I mean, you can as human beings, because you look at the spreadsheet, you can see a line, it says drywall, square feet, so many, you know, that connects together. Excel doesn't know anything about that. It can't validate anything. It's hard to bring data from Excel to other systems without losing information. It doesn't have a work breakdown structure. I mean, trying to solve a complex problem like estimating, you have to break things down, right? Excel can indent things, but it doesn't know anything about the breakdown. So there's a lot of reasons that Excel is coming to a limit in this. Anyway, it's widely used. So that was interesting, going back to 1998 when we developed the first version of Sigma, that we were so inspired by the office applications that we wanted it to look and feel like Excel. That has turned out to be a good decision back then, because it makes it much easier to come into an environment that you're familiar with from the beginning and then learn some new stuff about how to do this. So we'll try to create a platform and we'll show you in a couple of minutes how it works also, because I think it's important that we talk about how we're going to disrupt things, but also talk about how we're going to do it. Otherwise it's just talking about it. So develop a platform that kind of solves the things that Excel cannot do, but still has the flexibility and all the requirements that you have for that as well. Another thing is that there's no application that can do everything, right? There might be companies that sometimes sell products and say, this can do everything for your company. It can do your accounting, it can do your estimating, it can do your production follow-up, whatever. But I'm a true believer of what we call best of breed software. So we hope we do something good with estimating, but I know people doing planning software, they're really good at that. Takeoff software, you know, OST, plan sheet and all those, really good products. So what we want to do is to make sure that we can integrate. That makes it possible for you, if you go with that strategy and pick the best software out there, make sure they're connected and talk to each other, then you can always replace the software if you find something better, something is not working. But if you're trying to find one system that covers everything, what do you do if there's a feature that's not working? You cannot replace it because you're kind of stuck. So I'm going to talk a little more about this and show some stuff, but the word API is really important in this. API means that it has a programming interface that you can use, or maybe other people or colleagues in your company can use, or your consultants, to create these connections. So say you had the best takeoff software and you thought that Sigma was a good estimating product, you wanted them to talk to each other. Well, you don't have to wait for us to develop that integration, you can do it yourself because that's an open API. So look out for APIs in the software that you're going to find in the future. I also want to mention that cost estimation and 5D BIM. Have you heard the word 5D BIM? So BIM is building information modeling, and if you look it up on Google and other places, you will see a lot of different definitions of that. To me, it's just being digital, taking a word from a model here, bringing all those data into the next software. That's BIM to me. And we have 3D, 4D, 5D stuff. 5D is, some say 5D BIM is the estimating and finance stuff. I say 5D is the how. So it really goes very well with what in a couple of years, you will see that the green and the blue circle here, they are overlapping even more, and maybe in 10, 20 years, we don't even want to talk about that, it's all the same. But right now, we are at a stage where things are meeting. So if you talk to BIM managers in companies, they will talk about 5D BIM. And if you talk to estimators and construction managers, they will talk about cost estimating. But to some extent, we're talking about the same stuff here. So again, to solve BIM, to solve 5D and BIM, you are estimators who can really help them do this. So changes are coming, and yeah, are we all ready for that? I think we are in the industry. I mean, we've been talking about BIM and digital stuff for 10, 12 years now, but over the last couple of years, things are really starting to move forward. We can see with some of the clients we have conferences like this. I was surprised there was so much to talk about BIM estimating today, so that was great. So the next thing I'm going to do is to actually show you some of the stuff, how it works, because it will give you an opportunity to think about that, to ask questions if we have time here, to come and ask questions. We are right out here, to give us feedback on this, and I think the feedback is the most important thing today. All right. So what you see here is the secret software. As you can see, it looks like Excel, Word, stuff like that. It has a regular interface. You can have your libraries with cost data. You have your integrations to plan scripts, all of this, to BIM object, other stuff. So It's a familiar interface, and the API makes it possible to put in add-ons or Sigma apps, whatever you call it, so you can extend to the needs you have. It has a breakdown structure. You probably see that in other software as well. The breakdown structure here makes it very easy to organize your estimates and really have a true hierarchy in what you're working with. It means that you can drag drop things around, but the software will know what you're doing. You can organize things, and this is one of the reasons that the company I referred to for the estimate, not the estimators, but the project managers who started opening the estimates, they could just click around here. They could kind of follow the thought behind the estimating here, because it was organized in a logical way, in a cost breakdown structure, so to speak. It has different tabs here, and we're going to show you more details about that. Kind of goes with the workflow, so you have content for adding content, summary for bid day operations, margins, profits, stuff like that, key figures, resources. So Jim's going to show that in a minute or two. So the first thing I want to show you today, and this is dangerous what I'm doing right now, because I'm going to show you how we can do estimating from a 3D model. But it's very important for me to say segments is not at all dependent on having a 3D model. And we all know that 3D models are not perfect or anything. But I just want to start out showing where we're heading, and then we'll go back. Bill will show you more typical estimates, how we can do that, and 2D takeoff and stuff. And we can combine all of that. But I just thought it was fun to start with this. So the thing is that in the regular application here, we have created a plugin. So you can actually, if you install that, you can click the button called Connect. It will take all the stuff in the model here, all the doors, the windows, the walls, and stuff like that. It will bring it in and connect it into the estimating model you have in the Sigma software. I used a template here, so it has a construction site, civil works already there. But now it has a 3D model. You can see the walls here. It's neatly organized, so you can see each of the wall elements of an exterior wall. You can see properties here from Revit. It might be useful when you're doing your estimating. You can see what level is this one on and stuff like that. There's a lot of settings, of course. You can filter out things you don't want to be here. You can use settings to how you want it to be built up. I'm not going into the details of that. So the next thing we want to do is to add some cost here, because now we have a structure, we have all the quantities. To really understand how this works, you can, if you use two monitors, for example, you can do like this. So the two applications can talk to each other. So right now I clicked on the floors, right here. Sorry, roofs. And it will highlight all the roofs in the model. So that way you kind of get an understanding of how the elements connect to each other in the 3D model and your estimate. If I click on a specific wall here, it will highlight that specific wall. Again, it kind of helps you get started on using tools like this and figure out if there's an additional cost we need to add to this specific wall because of whatever reason. And you can click on stuff in the 3D model as well. So if I click on a wall or roof or anything here in the 3D model, it will find it in your estimate. So it makes it much easier to start with it. So let me just pause here and say, again, 3D models might not be perfect, but if you believe that the number of windows and doors here are correct, then you can bring that in and do the rest of the estimating the way you used to do it. But now you save the time of counting, and you didn't forget all the windows on the second floor, for example. So step by step, you can start using the 3D models here. Okay, so let's figure out how to put some cost in this, and before I move on, I want to say, right here you can see some numbers. You might recognize them as uniformed numbers, but those are just some sort of a cost code. You can use any type of cost code, you can invent your own, and if you in the 3D model apply some cost codes to the stuff, it will go right in here and help you so much on the rest of the process. Because what I want to do now is to open a price book, and you can create your own price books. You can use commercial price books. I'll use one of mine here, and connect that into the estimate here. that's it. What you can see now is that the text here, they're changed to whatever text I had in my price book, not whatever the architect called it in the Revit model. I have a unit cost here, so in very few minutes I can actually bring in all this data, assign cost to them, and this is not the final estimate at all, but it's a pretty good start from this model, right? Another thing that I think this is the exciting stuff. So as you can see here, we had these walls. Now I can expand a wall and see all the stuff that I need to do to build a wall. So what happened here? So I had a wall from my model coming into Sigma, just one line with a quantity, right? Then I applied my price book. But in my price book, I have assemblies or building parts or whatever we like to call them. So in my price book, I have a wall and I have all the work operations that needs to be done, all the materials required for this type of wall, all that stuff. So now I have that automatically in my software.
Can you edit the assemblies?
Sorry?
On the fly? Can you edit the assemblies on the fly?
Yeah, yeah, I know it was very automatic. So what it did was, it went through all the stuff that came from the 3D model, it looked up in my price book to match the numbers, and then sort of added it here. Another thing I can show you here is there's a French balcony door. So in my price book, I also have a nice 2D image. I have a description of the door. I can have other data. So now I'm bringing all my knowledge about how to insert doors, build walls. That's my knowledge I have in my price books. I can find that in my 3D model.
And that's the information that you can transfer to the viewer.
Yeah, exactly.
And send a web address out to the superintendent of the field, and he'll have all this information from the web. He doesn't have to have, Sigma doesn't have to have the estimate, he just goes to the web address he sent him, and he's got all that information about whatever it is, you know, the windows, the doors, whatever.
Exactly. Next thing I want to show you is this tab called Insight. It's really powerful way of regrouping your data, creating new breakdowns. That could be for different purposes, so maybe you just want to look at things a bit different. Maybe you have a colleague that needs a report based on numbers in a different way, whatever. So the first tab here called Activities, CSI/Master Format, kind of breaks things down into that. How can we do that? That's because when you saw I expanded the wall with all the work operations, they're all labeled with what kind of CSI code they should have. So now it can be reorganized for production. I can switch to the location tab here. There we are. Now I'm using all the information from the 3D model because automatically the level of everything came with the object. So every wall, every window has a level that it's on. Came directly into the software here. So now I just click a tab and it will reorganize everything by level. So I could continue showing this stuff, but you can set up your own insights. So if someone said, could you give me all the concrete works on level 3, you can very easily, with a few clicks, set it up and get that kind of data out. So what I'm saying here is this is supporting estimating because it gives you new insights to the stuff. I mean, the numbers here always adds up to whatever the value of the project is. But new insights to this, and you can also see that this is really the fundament of bringing data into the field as well. Durations, list of materials, activities, and all that stuff. So let me fast forward to show that again. There we are. So you can share a link with people, and they can just use a browser, go in here and see the model, click on something, get all that information right here. And let's try something interesting. So the door, to that one. So that's French balcony door here. It even has links to the manufacturer. So in my price book, I make sure to have links to the manufacturer from the BIM object service. So in the field, you can click on these and see how to install this door, get all that kind of information. So that all came from the estimate. So you as estimators, you are doing this job already and putting all these things together. We just need people to have access to these data, right? So,
if you're a subcontractor, you can send this out to your guys in the field, you can send it to the GC to confirm what it is. Through the GC, you can send it out to your subs, to the field. It just makes it so easy to share all of that information that you collected as an estimator and all the thought process that went into it. Now you don't need a set of suites, you don't need PDFs, you don't need emails. You send them a web link and they have all that information. And it's just, to me, that's an incredible value.
Yeah. All right, so I made a promise before to also show you that we can do estimating on a platform like this, get the same results, get all this great stuff out to the field without having a perfect 3D model or anything. So I'll switch to your screen, Bill, and let you help me show you that stuff.
Okay.
So the first thing that would be interesting to see actually was that you probably have a lot of spreadsheets with a lot of great data in it, and what you want to do is to be able to import that. So, what's that?
They notice my old shit.
There's a lot of those folders. That's great. So the first thing, Bill, you can show how to import a spreadsheet directly into SQL, so you have stuff there. Yeah.
So it's really, you know, one of the things about all this BIM and all, it's all great, but you have in your Excel sheets, whatever history you have of your estimates and your actual production on the job is invaluable data. I mean, that's the data you want. You don't want to use ours means. You want to use your own data for your own production rates, your own costs, everything. So we've made it very easy to import that into Sigma. It's simply a matter of selecting the file and then matching up the column headings in Sigma to the column headings in your spreadsheet. And if you add a level column, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that will create your work breakdown structure for you when I import it. And I'll show you. And what this allows you to do is add more and more of your estimates to your database, and then you can save a particular estimate as a cost library, or you can save it as a template, or you can just import it like this and drag portions of it to an existing library. So you start accumulating and collecting the costs that you've used to win jobs and be profitable. And that information for way too long has gone unused. So this one imported the spreadsheet I had with all the quantities, and he was talking about the insight. So this one is in a master format. And again, you can import it anywhere you want.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, the Excel is not going to go away. It's a great product. You'll probably have data. You'll receive data in Excel. So it's important to be able to bring that in to Sigma. So yeah. So maybe, Bill, if you could show also just basically how you work as an estimator in Sigma, how you insert new stuff. Yeah.
So if there's a couple ways I can do this. If I'm going to do the, let's just look at wall framing. If I have drywall assemblies in my library I want to use, I can just type DRY and open and look for anything that matches that text string and bring it in. And with our PlanSwift integration, if I click on the PlanSwift tab and wall area and go back to PlanSwift, it's opened up the form. I can tell it that it's a 12-foot high wall. And so do some random takeoff here. And then I go back into Sigma and click on refresh page and it brings them out. So you import your jobs that you have in Excel, you create a library, you create assemblies with costs that you know work, and then you drag and drop them into a new estimate or create a template. And all of that production rate, material, labor rates, everything is in there. All you have to do is get to how much. How many. All you got to do is count it and take off. And our integration with Sigma, with PlanSwift, gives it a specific, unique ID, so that line item is linked to that in PlanSwift. if I go into Plan Swift and change this, I'm going to go back and hit refresh, it'll bring in the new amount. It simply asks, what's the total? You can also drag things. For instance, if I want to put the spread footing in my estimate, I can just drag it over and drop it. So there's different ways to get the information into your estimate, but any estimate can be saved as a template or a library. And with libraries, it costs database.
So, no. So to summarize that, what you see is that many different ways of working with this. Some people like to just have a good place to enter things more or less manually. You can use an integration like this. You can combine it with 3D models. Maybe bring something from a 3D model, take something off in Plan Swift, import it from a CSV file from other takeoff software. So when we talk about templates, a template is just a starting point. So if you have a specific structure you like to work with on a specific project type or whatever, you save it as a template. I don't know if you're familiar with using it in Word and Excel, but if you have a great stuff, you can save it as a template. So next time you want to do a new Excel spreadsheet or a new Word document, you can just start with that. So it's the same system here. And regarding the libraries, it's kind of an odd word maybe, but it's price books. And you can have as many libraries as you like. So you might just want to have one library and organize it with all the ones with different stuff you have. You can have multiple, you can share them with your colleagues. So you can build your own. And Bill just showed how easy it was to take something from your library, put it into your estimate. But the thing is that you can do it the other way around. Probably that's what you're going to do in the beginning of using a software like this. Because you're estimating, you don't have time to spend half a year to build up a library, right? So you'll be estimating, but then you'll save it back from your estimate into the library so that the next time you're going to use that, you can just drag and drop it into your estimate. Okay. Summary page, so bid day, right? Yeah.
Bid day, and this, this little screen, it doesn't all fit. But what summary page has is the summary of the totals from your work breakdown structure. And on bid day, you can make the changes that you need to make right here. UGCs know that you have, if you're bidding a big job that's due at 2, you've got a bid runner down at City Hall sitting there with just 2 numbers, maybe the electrical's not filled out in total. So you just make all your changes right here. For instance, if I'm the bid captain and somebody comes in and says, you know, we had a blowout at carpentry, you got to add $5,000. I just add it to the one number that he's got to fill in, and it distributes it along here, but it's very easy to adjust your total numbers that way. And if, you know, the next guy comes in and says, you know, I've saved us $4,000 on electric. You just start adding them together, and it'll run the total. But when you click on it, you can see, you know, that the money has changed. It's really easy to do that way. Summary page also has this validation. You can see that there's a warning there. There's a lot of things that aren't associated with categories. For instance, this one I always have checked for unit price. I have that checked here. And in the results, if I double click on that, it takes me right to the item that's missing unit price. So you never have to lay in bed at night worrying about which cell in Excel you missed or what reference isn't working. You can double check that everything has a cost real quick.
Yeah, and I think that kind of, these are things that are really hard for a spreadsheet to do, to figure out what could be wrong in this estimate. But as an estimating tool, it actually does know what you're doing. It does know that a unit cost of 0 might be a problem, things like that. So it can kind of validate you and help you. And that's one of the things that I've learned from Bill. That bid day is what do you call it? Stressful.
It's a bit stressful.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you can change numbers and do all that stuff and feel confident that everything is in order. Whether it comes from a 3D model or whatever. Yeah. So
the 3D model might give you 70–80% of the job, but you still got to go look for all of it. still got to read the specs. You know, the model is not going to have in there that, you know, all the drywall needs to be sanded at night. It's not going to be in the model. You got to still be an estimator, so that will work.
Maybe you can just show also the automatic markup in the summary page, Bill,
Yep.
because there are many ways to figure out when you have, that's another thing. So we believe it's important when you do estimating that you estimate the cost and then figure out the sales price afterwards, because then you know your margins and stuff like that. So there are many ways to do that. I've seen so many different ways to figure out that over the years. This is one of them. So yeah.
You can mark up the overhead and the profit, and it's marked up on the categories you use. And Sigma's not locked into the typical 5 or 6 categories that you see in construction. You can have as many different categories as you want. I have one user, he's got 3 material categories, because he buys from different people, and he gets a better deal from some, so he marks those up higher than his other material suppliers. But they're all in the material category with, you know, material, Joe's lumber, material, remainder, and stuff, so we can mark them up separate. Profit is the same way, which is why you saw in validation that it told me that some things didn't have categories, so if it's not marked as a category, it's not going to get marked up, and you're going to lose money. And you can use either the cost price or the sales price when you do it, and you can have discounts as well.
These are things that can be saved in the template as well. So whenever you do an estimate, you have a starting point for this, but on the specific project, you can adjust this, of course.
Yeah. And then we have adds and cuts too, so you can add a percentage or an absolute value. And this will appear below the line, so you can have the bond, contingency, fee, etc.
All right, thank you, Bill. So sorry for stopping you. So you were about to show the resources page, and I think these are one of the essential stuff in estimating. Again, both to analyze and validate, but also what you want to provide for other people in the project, right?
Yeah, when I was showing you the summary page, you see it's not responsive to where you are in the work breakdown structure. It's going to show you the whole job. The resource page, on the other hand, if I click on the very top of the estimate, it's showing me all the equipment, all the labor, everything I need for the job. If I click on wood and plastics, it's just going to show me the stuff that I need for that, the labor, the material. I can go down to 2x6 walls, and it's going to show me the carpenter's hours and the material. So this is real handy to give out to the people in the field or to buy material. There's a tender list app where you can print this up and send it out to your vendors and say, I need a price on this. So that's, and you can change the price if you're using a lot of 1x6 cedar. You've got it at about 16 foot, and you get a price of 96. You can change it to 96 right there, and it will change it everywhere in this estimate that it's been used. So it's real quick. If you do open book labor, you get a better labor price. You can change that as well. So.
Okay. So do you have some insights here, Bill, that you want to show as well?
Yeah, insight is my favorite feature of this because I like to estimate the CSI, 16, old school. That's why I like to do it. And I've had owners that want to see it in master format. They want to see it grouped by area. They want to see it grouped by whatever they want to see it grouped by. So I make a custom column, and you can have as many custom fields and Sigma as you need. And when you make a custom field, it adds a column to your spreadsheet, and you put the data in there. And for instance, these resources, this view is grouped by the category. This is the same information, but now I want to see all the concrete and where it's going. And this one is the same information, but it's grouped by where it's at in the project. The house, the greenhouse, carport. And this can be as complicated as you want. It's real easy to use, real handy. If I move this down one, it'll change the whole thing. And now we've got concrete house in the house. So the ability to slice and dice this information once you get into the estimate, it's real fast and real easy.
This is tying back to what we started talking about, why the estimators can provide so much information. I think this is where the magic happens really. So hopefully, when you think about it, you can start thinking, okay, so what kind of information from our estimates could someone else use? How can we label things? Can we label it already in the price book? Because yeah, some things will always be the same, or should be added on the specific estimate. But with this slice and dice tool, you can create reports, Excel sheets, you can tie it into integrations into web services to other systems. So this is really where the magic happens in terms of bringing data forward to other systems. Yeah, should we cover key figures as well? Just show the
Yeah, the key figures are all editable. You can show whatever particular aspect of the job you want. Percentages for the job of the subcontractor. As you can see, it's relatively easy math. And so this page is editable, and so is the figures you see up here on the banner. That was quick.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Bill. I think it's really important to say again that we have more than 10,000 users on this. Everyone giving us feedback all the time. So I'm really impressed of all the great ideas we have gotten over the years. And there's so many small features in here to help be more efficient every day, and so on. But in the big picture again, we're moving forward in the industry. We're making things together. So I want to talk just a little more about that. You showed the Planchcraft app, Bill. That's a great example. It's not BIM, but yes, it is BIM, because now you're digitizing something from you received in a PDF file, and now you're making it live. It's a tool link. You can update it in the Planchcraft. It updates the content Sigma. We have integrations into Autodesk BIM 360. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but Autodesk is creating a platform, cloud-based platform where you can store your 3D models, your documents, your RFIs. They have cost management now, so tying into that makes a lot of sense. So really great. I was delayed yesterday, so I had a time in the airport, and I was thinking that I had to surprise. We had a focus group meeting yesterday, and I wanted to show how easy it is to create something in the API. So we made a small app. So it added now a tab in here called ASPE Kansas. It's just a few lines of code, so you can add something like that, add a button, and if I push this button, it will go to a server on the internet that has weather data for Kansas, and will bring that data in and show it right here. So just a few lines of code, and you can integrate with something else and do something new.
And that's an easy example. Last week I made a custom sheet for a guy who wanted to mark up only his direct costs, but he wanted to have his indirects mixed in there. So we found a way to establish a key figure that he called hard cost. We made that constant. We added that into the spreadsheet as a constant, and then he could just mark that up. So this coding, I mean, that was real quick and dirty, but this guy couldn't figure out how to do this. He could do it in the spreadsheets. And we fixed it up for him in about 4 hours.
So let's go back to this one. So if we want to make sure that estimators get included even more in the workflows, in the digital workflows, I think that's what we need to think about, is using platforms that can get the job done, because every day you have a job that needs to get done, estimates that needs to be done, accurate, fast, all that stuff, but at the same time, tools that will be included in the chain of tools, the workflows in the companies you're working with. So So I hope at least this gave you an insight on that. I think, again, honestly, estimating, to most of the people I talk to that are not estimators, they don't really get what the estimators are doing. We were at the Ordnance University last year, and the message we sent to all the BIM managers was to go and meet the estimators in the company, because they are doing BDC. You want to include them in all of this. So it's really important role you have already, but it's even more important in the future, and you can provide so much productivity to that. So I want to hear what kind of questions you might have and feedback. So anyone that is considering, based on what we talked about today, what are the challenges of this? What are the opportunities? Yeah.
With the existing spreadsheets that we have,
Yeah.
do you have the ability to help tailor some of that front end?
Yeah.
That's software, so we can. So if we got something we've worked with for years, you can help build that.
Yeah.
So the functionality remains the same.
Yeah. Exactly. So, well, yes and no. So the question is, if you have spreadsheets already, how can you kind of move from that, but take all the data and get into a software like this? So that's an interface to map to the spreadsheet you have, bring the data in, and the formulas are built in the Sigma software, but it's typically a quantity multiplied with unit cost and stuff like that. So that's very typical situations to get started with that. But once it's in Sigma, you can maintain it there and yeah, start doing some of the stuff here.
If your spreadsheets are of a consistent nature and the structure is the same, you can set up a template so that when you import it, you just click the button and you import it. You don't have to do the mapping or anything.
Move from this spreadsheet and just have Sigma in front of it, not.
Yeah, then the spreadsheet is sort of dead. Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah. Can your program be manipulated for deconstruction also? So we do demolition?
Demolition, so try to put a few more words on that. So for figuring out the cost.
Can it be used for demolition also?
Yeah.
Demolition?
To reverse the process of building.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have subcontractors of, I think, every division using it, along with GCs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday I pointed out that I have a carpenter contractor whose wife found it, she uses it for recipes. So the quantities and how many people she's cooking for and stuff. So yeah, it'll work for demolition.
Yeah. We have a large client doing demolitions as well, and at least in Denmark where they are, they have to kind of do some reporting on the sort of materials they're breaking down, waste management, stuff like that. So they added categories for that, so they can kind of report that at the same time. So that's, interesting.
Okay.
There was some more questions.
What's the security aspect of it? You guys are using in the field and in the office, is it just open, anybody can get anywhere with it, or do you have certain parameters?
Yeah, so we try to follow kind of the security you use in the company. So since it's file-based, you can control who has access to these files, whether you use Dropbox, SharePoint, other systems. That's kind of the level you can do. You can add licensing. If you do your own cost libraries, you can add licensing on them, so they can only be used in the company with that license code, stuff like that. So there's a lot of mechanisms around that. Yeah.
But if you have libraries with costs that you only want one or two people to be able to access and change, you can lock the files. So when people use them, they can't change.
You already have an API for Bluebeam?
No, and the reason is that Bluebeam, the Bluebeam desktop software for doing takeoff, they don't have an API, unfortunately. I've been talking to them a few times and trying to move it forward. What you can do, though, is that if you export data from Bluebeam, you can export CSV, Excel, and XML files. They can pretty easily be imported into Sigma.
Okay, so it would be where then it's a spreadsheet and you...
Exactly, yeah. We were trying to build a small app to do that, but the thing is that the format coming out of Bluebeam depends very much on how you're using it, so, but we support you, of course, yeah. What other kind of questions and comments do you have? Does it make sense that as estimators you can really provide a lot of information to the field? I hope so. Okay, so anyway, we'll be around. We're right out here in this small booth, and it was really a pleasure to be able to share this with you. I hope to meet all of you many times again, and yeah, wish you a great day.
Thanks for your time.